Welcome back to The Whole Home. I'm Kezia, and we're going to talk about building more sustainable and budget-friendly holiday seasons in our homes. Now, I'm excited to talk about this one, I'm not going to lie, because it's been our personal journey over the last nearly 10 years, and sometimes I have felt very alone, and like all media and holiday magazines and people's expectations and everything are against that goal for the holidays. And so I want to be your person and say it doesn't have to be that way. If no one else, I am here championing you and saying it's a great goal for the holidays and it really can be done. And I'm going to give you some tips, some ideas, some inspiration, some of the mindset work that we have had to do around the holidays to make it possible. If this is your first time watching, I am Kezia. My goal on the internet is to make lower footprint living, so sustainable living that impacts people and planet more positively, a little bit less complicated and a bit more budget friendly. And wow, does the holidays not feel set up for that goal? So I want to talk it through. Now, side note, I have spent 15 years of my life in America. We celebrate Thanksgiving as well as Christmas. And there are different holidays that people celebrate around this time of year. For me, it is mostly Christmas with a little bit of Thanksgiving, but I will say Christmas, I will say the holidays. I just mean whatever we're celebrating at this time of year that statistically is a time of heavy consumption, a lot more waste than the rest of the year, and a huge amount of spending. You can also look at the bar along the bottom and you'll see chapters. So if there's a particular bit you want to listen to, you can click along and listen to a particular piece, or you don't need to watch. You can just go and do something and put it on to listen while you do something else. Before we dive into some of the more practical bits, I want to go over 4 mindset adjustments that we have had to go through and keep on kind of recognizing and changing as all the marketing comes our way to stay true to what we really believe. The first is that a high consumption Christmas, the one that has a lot of stuff and a lot of spending, is a cozier, happier, more inviting, more memorable Christmas. This is just not true, but it is what we are marketed, and it can really be something that we take on that, oh, that's what will make our home cozier. We need to buy that to give us the best holiday experience. And we're fed this idea that if we buy more, we can buy our way into a cozy, magical holiday season. Now, decorating our homes, doing different things, and purchasing definitely can, to some level, give a different kind of holiday season, but there are ways that we can do it without consuming to a really high level or without consuming at all, using what we have, using what's already in circulation, and that is not what is being marketed. So I think it's helpful to see that mindset so that when it comes up, when it's marketed to us, when we can feel ourselves taking it on, oh, I just need that, it would, ... We can go, not doing that. That is not my goal for the season. The second mindset that I've had to counter, and especially when it comes to kids, is the idea that if we don't have a certain kind of holiday season, we or they are missing out. What it was really helpful for me to realize is that I was picturing this world where everyone across the world had a Hollywood Christmas, the kind we see in movies with the perfect everything, and that if I did something differently in my home, my kids were the only ones across the globe having a different experience, and that was not fair to them. And I just had to have a reality check and go, a lot of kids across the globe don't even celebrate Christmas. Of those that do, very, very few have a Hollywood Christmas. People do Christmas and the holidays in so many different ways. If we choose a way to celebrate that is what we value and believe in, and we make our own traditions and memories and ways of doing things, that is the opposite of my children missing out. It might be different from the experience we're marketed, but my children are not the only children on the planet having a different experience while everyone else shares in the same experience. And kind of along with that, it's really helpful for me to just remind myself, my goal is not keeping up with the Joneses. My goal is to do things differently. I don't want the statistical norm in terms of this season with the waste that's created, with the level of overconsumption, with the level of stuff that's gifted that's not wanted, with the level of food waste. That's not what I want. So therefore, I actually want our holiday season to look different from everyone else's. But it's easy for us to still feel like, oh, but they're doing it that way. We should do it that way, and have this feeling creep in that we're trying to keep up with everyone else. So it's helpful for me to just realize that's not my goal. It is not what I'm trying to do. And then when I feel it creep in, I can just remind myself, I am precisely not trying to keep up with the Joneses. And then when it doesn't happen, I can actually celebrate that and go, we're doing this our way and in a way that we believe in. And I love that, rather than feeling like we should be doing things differently, we should look like them. So it really just helps me to remind myself, and these are all obvious things, and yet they're mindsets that can creep in so easily as we watch everyone else build their holidays around us. We're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Precisely the opposite. The fourth is maybe my favorite and one of the most freeing. And that is countering this idea that we are supposed to meet other people's expectations of who we should be and what we should do in this holiday season, especially when living up to them is to our detriment through stress or financial burden, or when it's to other people's detriment by purchasing fast fashion, creating excess waste, and things like that. We want to do something different, and we want to be clear and kind and loving and generous and celebratory in the way we do the holidays and the way we host and all of those things, but out of our values and not out of meeting other people's expectation, regardless of the monetary and human environmental cost. Those are some of the mindset pieces that we have to keep on adjusting as we see them creep in. But if I could sum up the flip side and one positive way that I approach the season and one positive principle for how we want to build our holiday seasons, it's to look at what we have. What do we have access to? What do we have budget-wise? What do we have locally and sustainably that we're able to get hold of? And to build a picture of the holiday season, gifting or hosting from that, rather than building this picture of what it should look like from media, magazines, films, other people's expectations, past traditions, family norms, and then doing whatever it takes to get there, regardless of the different kinds of cost. So that's the way I'm trying to think, honestly, about everything through life, but especially around the holidays, building from what we do have and what we can get by our values, and using that to create a picture of what the holidays should be and can be, rather than starting with the picture of what it should be and then getting there regardless of the cost. So it's completely flipping this idea on its head, and we can still create something so beautiful and memorable and wonderful and cozy and happy and celebratory and loving, and actually without the cost and the negative side that the other can so often have. Let's dive into some practicals. Before we do anything that is actually planning the specifics of the holiday season, we look at our budget and go, what are we looking at this Christmas? I think last year in the UK, in 2023, the average projected spend was close to £700 per person. So I think it's helpful to listen to that number and go, how does that feel? Can you see that number within your finances? Can you see where that's going to come from? Do you have it saved? And try and gauge, when we say staying on budget, we don't just mean spending as little as possible to not give to people. We mean, how can we be generous but still be covered and feel safe with our finances? We love Monzo pots. We find it so helpful. If they operate in the US and the UK, Monzo is an ethical bank, which we love, but they have this pot system. So each month you can just divert money into a pot, and then it is sitting there waiting for Christmas. I think I have a link where you can get money off if you start an account. But that way, even if you just do it from now till the holidays, or you start saving now for next year, just putting a tiny bit aside each month, so that when you get to the holidays, there is even just a little bit of help of money to work with that you've saved through the year. But regardless, just going, what actually feels good? What actually is safe? As we look at our finances, what do we have to spend? Because that can help guide the spending. It can help us know when to say no and when to say yes, and be really, really helpful. And then going, what actually is our goal? Are we trying to spend X amount of money? Are we trying to be super sustainable? Are we trying to go secondhand? Do we actually have, what are our goals? I think can be really helpful to identify some of those. For us, that looks like we are trying to stick to a certain number, and our goal is to be 100% secondhand for Christmas. Really thoughtful, but also using only what is already in circulation. That's the point that we have got to on our journey. It didn't start there, but that is our goal. The first thing we do as soon as we can feel that shift from summer into back to school, or coming back from summer holidays, or that shift in the season, and we're looking into September, we sit down with a big piece of paper and go, all right, who are all the people that we need to think about gifting to this year? Because gifting is one of the biggest pieces of consumption around the holidays. So we write this big list. Who's expecting a gift from us? Who do we need to give to? Who do we want to give to? Where will we be included in an office secret Santa or a school teacher gift? Or where are all the places that we're going to need to gift? And then we start looking through the list with a few different options to look at how we can reduce our consumption and what we're having to buy, and of looking at where we need to and want to put our budget when it comes to that. Now, when we talk about gifting and reducing budget, it can sometimes feel like we're being stingy, and that is so not the goal here. The goal is to look at how can we stay within budget, not just spend less and less and less, but how can we take the budget we have and use it in the most sustainable way to be as loving in gifting as we possibly can. Spending less money doesn't mean being less loving. It sometimes means being a little bit more creative with how we plan it all out. So we take this list and we look through, and what we're looking for is where can we consume less while gifting really well. So the first thing we look for is actually, where could we mutually agree no gifting? We've done this with siblings and their spouses and gone, should we just not gift this year? We're not going to be together. It will probably be easier for us not to shop for each other. We think you might feel the same. What do you think about doing a mutual no gifting? So we're looking through, where can we actually just not gift? Where would that be well received? Maybe a blessing to the other person as well to not think about gifts. It also might be, where can we not give a physical gift, but where can we give an experience or do something together? We've done that with people and gone, hey, should we just go out for a meal together instead of all gifting to each other? Or last year we did for all the cousins in our family, instead of doing any gifting and shipping gifts and having tons of little kid things with the budget spread between all the cousins, going, okay, we're going to do a day trip. We're going to wait till the summer. And we went to a big adventure park, Knockhatch in East Sussex, if you're local. It was great. We had a full day out, and the anticipation of the kids through the first half of the year to go and do that was amazing. No one felt they missed out, but there was no shipping and wrapping and lots of little gift buying. We saved a ton of time as adults. We saved on shipping and stuff and space in our homes, and it was brilliant. So we just traded out a physical gift for an experience gift. Maybe there wasn't so much money saved, but we saved stuff and all had an experience together. So that's something else we're looking for. Where can we not give stuff, but give an experience? Or where can we give a service gift? Babysitting to new parents, or if you have a skill or a trade that you can gift that will be really well received, where can you gift that? I was gifted a compost heap, which is not going to be everyone's favorite gift, but my friend knew that I really wanted it, and it wasn't planned. I didn't ask for it. She wrote in the card, I'm making you a compost heap. One of the best gifts ever, because she knew me, she knew what I wanted, and she built me this very simple compost heap in my garden. I loved it. So where can we give service gifts that aren't stuff instead of things? Then we're also looking through that list and going, where would a secondhand gift that's really thoughtful work out well? Now, this might be a secondhand piece of clothing or a vintage piece of clothing, or it might be going, okay, well, there's something specific we want to search out, and then we're looking on used eBay, on Vinted, in charity shops, lots of different places for a specific gift. Or it might be more of like, oh, I'm going to keep my eye out for something for that person. This is why we do it way before the holiday season, because it gives us time to stumble across these things. And I'll talk a little bit more about our routines for that. But okay, where are we just kind of looking out for something? That might be more of a teacher gift. So I don't have a specific idea, but I'm going to be keeping my eye out for something really great and thoughtful and secondhand that we can gift them. So we're just trying to look through our list and plan it out, because it gives us time to source things well. The last minute Amazon Prime gift is the worst. We've rushed shipping. It's maybe gone on a plane. It's not from a thoughtful place. It's cost us the most money. The more we can pull away from that, the more sustainable and budget friendly we're going to be. So doing it really early, so we have time to find things along the way with a lower footprint, is always going to be a win. Then some people are more creative than others, but DIY gifts can be a great one too. Last year, we gave both sets of grandparents silhouettes of the different grandchildren. It could be animals, you could do different things. I did them all. It was really fun. It took a lot of time, but they made a beautiful, thoughtful gift for very, very little money and very, very little resource. It took about 5 pieces of paper and some scissors and some time. And so there are tons of blogs online of DIY gift ideas, and some might spark ideas. Food gifts, who can we give a food gift to? Perishables that we know people will use are also a really good idea. And even telling people in a card, we got something we knew you would use because we didn't want anything to go to waste and we didn't want you to have to re-gift anything. So that's why we chose this gift. And letting people know the thought behind the gift can go a long, long way. So we're going through our list and we're really trying to go, how can we consume the least, make people feel loved, and stay on budget? And those are some of the things we're doing. Where can we mutually not gift? Where can we choose an experience instead of a gift? Where can we do a second-hand gift? Where can we do a DIY gift? Where are we aiming for certain specific things? And where are we kind of keeping our eyes open? And that's the one that I then keep a list with me of where are the gifts that I'm just going, oh, I might see something. And I'm kind of always having those people on my mind through the season to try and find something in a secondhand or charity shop. I'm just constantly looking out and trying to check off the list. With this, you might also want to set gifting expectations, and we get to do this. Remember, we are not living up to other people's expectations. We are not trying to meet other people's expectations regardless of the cost. We are building a Christmas from our values. Well, we are building holidays from our values while loving people really well at the same time. So you might want to tell people, hey, we've been looking at our budget or our consuming or both, and we've actually decided to do the holiday season with no gifts this year. We are not expecting anything back, but this is our approach to the holidays this year. We love you. We've just decided to step back from gifting this year. And so in that, we don't expect anything from you. We're excited to see you, but we're not going to do any gifting this year. You could also look at giving a gift to charity. Hey, in lieu of gifting this year, we're going to be gifting to this project. We're not going to do any physical gifts. We love you, but we've been learning or looking at this, or our budget is in such a place, or however you want to say it, that we've decided we're going to do a charity gift this year instead of gifting. Feel free to do the same for us, or totally okay if you just don't want to gift this year. That's really in line with our goal of lowering consumption. But we wanted you to know what we're doing so that expectations are set and you know what the holidays are going to look like for us this year. Setting expectations early on, as early as possible, can be a really great way and give us peace in our gifting that, hey, we've set the expectation, we've told people why, we've explained our values behind that and why we're approaching it this way, and it can give us peace as we then shop and as we then approach the holiday season, that we're not doing something that no one knows is going to happen, we're not going to shock anyone at a gathering. We've told people, we've explained why, and they're free to move forward as we're doing, with people knowing it's not about love, it's about our values. And as Brene Brown says, clear is kind. Be clear with people, that's kind, but explain why you're doing what you're doing. And on the receiving end with gifts, we can also communicate too. I have done a lot of this, and it is one of the most frequently asked questions I get on Instagram is, how can we communicate to people who are gifting for us how we would like to be gifted to? This is going to be so different depending on your relationship with a person. But for me, we've always chosen to go down the route of offering a complete out. So we'll do it on kids' party invites and say, hey, we love that you're coming to the party. That's the biggest gift. We really don't need a gift. If you would like to bring a gift, we've been really trying to lower our consumption, and we love things from charity shops or a gift that you'd like to pass on from your own home, a toy that you'd like to pass on from your own home. Give people ideas, but also a complete and honest out. And I would say the holidays, it's a great idea to do a similar thing there too. To let people know why. I think tell people in a sentence the journey you've been on. Hey, we've really been on a journey of looking at our consumption, of understanding the effects of fast fashion. We had no idea. Because of that, we've been really trying to eliminate it from our home, and we're trying to do a fast fashion free holiday season. We understand that makes gifting a bit complicated. Sorry that we're the odd ones. It's for a reason that we really believe in. You know, you can make it happy and lighthearted. So please feel free to not gift at all if that feels overwhelming. If you do still want to give us something, I'm happy to suggest some places that we do love, or any charity shop gifts are so valued by us, but no need to gift at all. I realize that's a weird and tough parameter. You know, doing something that lets people feel not judged by your own boundaries, but lets people feel free that you're making a choice. They don't have to make it. They don't have to come into line with it. But if they want to, that they've got some clear ways to gift that you will love. It's always my goal. Also, having a gift list can be really good. Hey, We really don't want to bring things into our home that we don't need. We've made this gift list of things we really love. No need to purchase from it. Feel free to not gift or give a gift to charity or something else if you want to gift to us. These are actually things we need, and we would so appreciate that because we just don't want to be bringing stuff into our home that we don't need. We get to do that. In regard to actually buying these things, my goal is that from early September, I will try and take a charity shop trip every week. Now, depending on where you live, this is easier, harder, and it might be more of an online thing. We don't live by a big city, but we do have a number of charity shops in a few villages surrounding us. So I know where they are and I know how to integrate them into my life routine, whether it's, okay, I'm in a grocery shop, I'm in a food shop, and I can run into 2 different charity shops, see what's in there that week. It might be a 1-minute trip because there's nothing, but I've got that list of people in my head that I'm thinking of. I can see if there's anything appropriate, grab it and go, and it's really quick, but I'm doing it once a week, built into my routine, so that through the 12, 13, 14 weeks from the beginning of September, I have a lot of little quick trips built in to try and find stuff already in circulation that will be perfect for people on our list. While I'm doing this, I'm also searching for stocking gifts. We love doing stockings as a family. We wake up on Christmas morning and we all open a stocking. They can also be times of high waste, tiny little plastic things and stuff that's just going to end up in the bin. We love stockings, but we try and do them in a more sustainable and budget-friendly way by filling them with things that are also things we need. The kids will get socks, we'll get shampoo, we'll get some little luxuries like chewing gum or new pencils, things that they do need, but that are exciting to receive. And so from September, October, I'll just start holding things back that maybe they do semi-need, but they'll get given in their stocking. And then with that, we pepper through, and then with that, we put in some things that are not, we haven't sought out, but that have caught my eye. So my goal is to grab something from the charity shop every week that I'm able to go from about September, which ends up being about maybe 10 little gifts. Now, these might be pencils that I found, it might be a coloring book, a puzzle, not things that I've specifically sought out for the kid, but things that we've seen and have sparked my imagination for the kids. We'll also put in plasters. The eco-friendly ones are so expensive, they get them in their stocking. We'll put in maybe vitamin gummies, things like that. So it's a built up of stuff that they need, but there's so much celebration in that too. And then little bits of fair trade chocolate and fun things like that as well. But that weekly charity shop trip is a big deal for me. In the UK, we love Oxfam online. We love Vinted. There are lots of ways to do this, even if you can't make it out to a shop. Then there's home decoration. I've got my little Christmas bits. My kids told me to go up into the attic and find a couple of little Christmas bits from a video. So here they are. These are 2 charity shop items. And I think when it comes to decor, it's all about going back to those mindsets at the beginning and going, my goal is not to keep up with the Joneses. I am not buying into the idea that buying more stuff for my home is going to give us a cozier, happier Christmas. Even if it did, we have to remember that it might give us a cozier, happier Christmas. Maybe, I don't actually believe that's true, but it might. But it has an impact on other people that is the opposite, through waste, through the energy of production, through the dyeing of garments and home items and the plastic and all of those different things. The impact is not just limited to what happens in our own home in terms of the cozy factor, it has another impact somewhere else as well. So that is important to remember. But I have to remember about home decor, my goal is not to keep up with the Joneses. My goal is to look for simple, natural items. What can decompose, what can go in compost, or what can we then eat, or what was already in the recycling, or what was already in the trash, what was already used that we can pull out and use as home decor for a really cozy home. Now, there's a lot that we can do with just low lights and things like that, and candles has nothing to do with acquiring and decorating our homes in elaborate ways for holidays that can still create a really cozy home. I actually had someone come to my home within the last few years, my very simply decorated home, and say, I love the simplicity of this. It actually makes me feel less overwhelmed and more like this is something I could do rather than going to someone's home where I feel completely out of place by the level of spending and decor. So remembering that actually more doesn't make everyone feel at ease. It doesn't make it cozier for everybody. we get to look at what we have, what's sustainable, what we have, what is in our budget, in our means, and build from that. And that is 100% what I come back to in decorating our home. I'm looking at what can we make that can go in the compost or that's already in recycling. So salt dough ornaments for the trees, pine cones that we can find outside and string up with bits of string we already have, or ribbons that we've acquired from different places, things like that for trees and windowsills. I've got my little charity shop items. We put a little candle in the house. We've got a little tree. It's incredibly simple. It was already in circulation and unwanted by someone else. Then last year, we decorated with a ton of paper stars. I pulled a garland out that I saved. It's a little twisted up now, but we made these paper stars. I have a tutorial here for how to make them, but we used paper that we already had and string that we had from something else and made loads of star garlands to go around our home, to put on trees, to just hang on paintings. And they were really festive and pretty and happy. It's a very tangled string now. We also used them to decorate gifts and things like that. And I just kind of made them as we did other things. As I sat with the kids, here and there I would make one. And they made gorgeous garlands strung up around our home. You can make them in all different sizes. We had some bigger ones. But they were a really fun, festive way to change up the decor year to year, although I think we're going to do them again this year because I love them so much. But it was all paper that we already had, or paper that was unneeded, or paper that was packaging for things. I even found a few books that were falling apart that the kids had just used so much and ripped. We've got a Where's Wally book that I chopped up to make some colorful paper stars for the kids. So we're really using what we already have. And then if it goes in the recycling at the end, it was destined for that already. So we've really spent no money, created no impact, but decorated our home in a really cozy way. There are lots of DIY and creative things we can do to decorate from what we already have or from nature. Leaves, autumn leaves dipped in beeswax. There's so many things like that. Again, Google natural home decor ideas. There's so much that we can pull from and decorate and give a cozy feel without ending up putting a ton of plastic, ultimately, as stuff breaks, into landfill. For this year, I think I'm going to do the same thing, pull out a few little pieces, use lights, pull out an old secondhand tree, do more paper stars. And then I also found on clearance some really pretty wrapping paper. It was like when you get a single sheet of wrapping paper, the really expensive kind, but it was on clearance. And I'm going to put it in a frame and have kind of a holiday print. It was just wrapping paper. It cost me very little on clearance, but creating a holiday print for the wall, I think it was about £1. And that will kind of decorate a whole wall. Also then bringing greenery and branches in from outside, twinkly lights. There's so many different things that we can do without spending and without pulling on buying new stuff and acquiring a lot. And then food. Food is a massive thing around the holidays and I love it. Food is such a celebratory, social thing. And I love that aspect of Christmas and the holidays, but it can come at a huge expense. And food waste can be huge around the holidays. So my biggest thing here is make a plan. We always meal plan. Year round, we meal plan. It's the only way we can stay on budget and be mindful of our food and not wasting it and getting good meals on the table. This is a video all about how we meal plan. Through the holidays, it's gonna look a bit different. And again, I'm coming back to that principle of what can we find on budget? What can we find sustainably? And building our menu from that rather than going, what's our ideal? And then needing to spend and create whatever footprint we can to get to this magazine cover ideal. So for me, that's looking at, on meat, what meat can I find and put in the freezer early? If you have supermarkets or things that do clearance meat that is still safe and within its sell by date, but really reduced, I am looking for that from the beginning of the autumn. What can I get and put in the freezer? As long as the timing is safe, I'm looking for that really early. What can I put in the freezer? And then when we come to host, we have some extra pieces there and we can build a menu from what we have rather than going, okay, now I need to find expensive, well-sourced meat and spending a lot, or going, okay, we are going to have lamb and now I've got to source that regardless of the price. Instead, looking at, okay, what have we put in the freezer? What did we find on a good offer or on clearance or on something like that? If you're not from the UK or familiar with our supermarkets, what they do, a number of them very, very well here, is make it so that less food on the shelves is wasted. So as it comes to needing to be sold off, they will really reduce the price down. So it means you can get food that is still within its use by date, but is really, really reduced. You can then grab that, put it in the freezer. So that's what I mean by meat on clearance. Probably not everywhere does that, but it's something I love about some of our local supermarkets. And then remembering our goal is not to keep up with the Joneses, even if that is what other people's expectations are. Deciding and growing in the confidence of hosting within our means. Love can be communicated through so much more than a lot of spending. And just beginning to tell yourself and repeating that to yourself, I am comfortable hosting within my means. My love is not shown by an abundance of spending or extravagant food. I can love people really well through what I have and creating a beautiful table with sprigs of greenery or leaves and simple food. Food that you've been able to get on budget, but it's really hard. It's not what we're told. It's not what the magazines say. It's not what the supermarkets say. It's not what so much says, but we can create beautiful, beautiful holiday tables without having to spend through the roof if we're planning ahead and building our meal plans from what is available and what we can get done well and what we can get in advance and what we can get well priced, and then building our meal plans from that rather than building the picture and doing whatever it takes to get there. So that was my biggest thing. And then making a plan for waste. So much goes to waste because we're traveling, we're away for a meal, we're sharing a meal with one person and then having people over, and we have different special meals for different times. So really making a plan for putting things in the freezer, using up what we have, making sure that we have leftovers meals in there, and a plan for everything, because that saves so much money. Using everything is actually a very rare thing. And when we can do that and use every morsel of food, not let it go to waste, have a plan for it, make sure it gets used, we will save a ton of money. There are so many traditions, and on each of them, I think we just have to apply these principles of working from what we have, of communicating well with other people. One other thing I would suggest early on in the season, as much as we can, is talking to any groups, schools, workplaces that we're a part of, and saying what is going to be expected this holiday season. Is there a place where I'm going to have to bring food? Is there going to be an ugly sweater time? What is the expectation through the holiday season? Because it lets us plan ahead. If it's an ugly sweater day, we're not grabbing a rush shipped fast fashion plastic sweater the day before because we didn't know it was coming around. We have weeks in advance to look for that thing secondhand, or swap with someone, or borrow something, or find a way to do it with a lower impact and on a lower budget. But having a heads up and time is a big one. There's probably so much more that we could talk about, but those are some of the things that we have worked on over the last 10 years to get to a point where we feel confident walking into the holiday season, that we have a plan. We know what mindsets we're looking for and what we're trying to continually counter through the holidays. And we have the confidence to do the holidays by our values, knowing we can be kind and generous and create cozy spaces and fun hosting within those values. It has been a journey though. It's not always easy. And so give yourself grace and gentleness through the holidays. They can be at times of high stress, and we don't want to add to that, but also we want to lower our footprint and make sure that as we celebrate, we're loving everybody that's impacted by our holiday season and not just the people within our own home. That's really important, but we don't want to stress ourselves out. So take it bit by bit, take it step by step, and celebrate the bits that you are able to do. That is my summary. But if you want to follow along through the holiday season, I will be sharing what we do, how we decorate our home, what it looks like this year, gifts we're giving, DIYs we're doing, so you can follow along here on YouTube and then on Instagram for more of the little day-to-day bits. I also send out a weekly newsletter where I will do little roundups of everything we've shared this week. All the links for that are below. And if you want to watch the star tutorial with a little tour of our home and how we decorated it last year, that is here. And if you want to watch that video on meal planning and a whole series on what it looks like to eat on a budget and plan out food and not waste it, that playlist is here. But hit follow, and I will see you in another video sometime soon. And here is to a more sustainable and more budget-friendly holiday season.